My name is Harper, and I'm a financial analyst at an investment firm in Boston. For the past 8 years, I've been the designated host for my entire extended family's Christmas celebration. Not because I volunteered, but because my family decided that since I'm 32, unmarried, and have a well-paying job, I should be the one to handle everything. Every single year, it's the same routine. My mother calls me in early November with the announcement, "Harper, we're all so excited for Christmas at your place again this year. You always do such a wonderful job." It's never a question. Never a discussion. Just an assumption that I'll spend thousands of dollars and countless hours preparing for 20+ people to invade my home, eat my food, and leave me with a mountain of dishes and trash. Last year was particularly exhausting. I spent over $3,000 on food, decorations, and supplies. I took 4 days off work just to clean and prepare. I cooked for 3 straight days. And what did I get in return? My sister Charlotte complained that the turkey was too dry. My brother Mason said my house was too small for everyone to be comfortable. And my mother spent the entire evening pointing out everything I could have done better. The worst part was my cousin Blake's husband, who got drunk and broke my antique coffee table, then laughed it off saying, "That's what insurance is for." When I asked them to help replace it, Blake said I was being materialistic and should just be grateful everyone came to celebrate together. Nobody offered to help cook. Nobody offered to help clean. Nobody offered to split the costs. They just showed up, ate, made messes, criticized everything, and left. After they were all gone, I sat in my destroyed living room surrounded by dirty dishes and stained carpets, and I realized something. I was done. Completely done. This year was going to be different. In late October, I started planning. I went online and researched Christmas vacation destinations. I wanted somewhere warm, peaceful, and as far from Boston as possible. I found the perfect place in Maui, Hawaii. A beautiful beachfront resort with spa services, ocean views, and absolutely no family obligations. I booked a week-long stay from December 23rd through December 30th. The trip cost me $2,800, but I figured it was less than I usually spent on hosting Christmas, and this time I'd actually enjoy myself. The next step was more delicate. I needed to rent out my house while I was gone, but I couldn't let my family know. If they found out early, they'd just guilt me into canceling my trip. I contacted a friend named Iris who manages vacation rentals. "I need you to list my house on rental platforms, but keep my name completely private. Can you handle everything?" "Absolutely," Iris said. "When do you want it available?" "December 23rd through 30th. I want it booked solid so there's no possibility of anyone showing up." Iris worked her magic. Within 2 weeks, my house was booked by a family from Texas who were coming to Boston to visit colleges with their daughter. They paid $4,200 for the week, which more than covered my Hawaii trip. Now came the hard part. Telling my family I wouldn't be hosting Christmas. I waited until mid-November, late enough that they couldn't easily guilt me into changing my plans, but early enough to seem reasonable. I sent a group text to my parents, my siblings Charlotte and Mason, and my Aunt Rebecca who usually organized these things. "Hi everyone. I wanted to let you know that I won't be able to host Christmas this year. I've made other plans for the holidays." My phone started ringing within 30 seconds. It was my mother. "Harper, what do you mean you have other plans? Christmas is at your house. It's tradition." "It's not really a tradition if I never agreed to it, Mom. I need a break this year." "A break from what?" "From spending time with your family. A break from spending thousands of dollars and working myself to exhaustion while everyone else just shows up and criticizes everything." There was a pause. "That's not fair, Harper. We all appreciate what you do. Then you should have no problem hosting Christmas at your house this year. Our place is too small. You know that. Your house is perfect for gatherings. Then maybe Charlotte can host. Her house is even bigger than mine." My mother's voice got sharper. "Charlotte has 3 children to take care of. She doesn't have time to host a big event. And I have a demanding full-time job, but that's never been an issue before. This is very selfish of you, Harper. Very selfish and frankly quite hurtful. What's gotten into you? Nothing has gotten into me. I'm just not hosting this year. You'll need to make other arrangements. I hung up before she could argue further. Within minutes, my phone was flooded with messages. Charlotte texted, "Really, Harper? You couldn't give us more notice? Now we have to scramble to find another place." Mason wrote, "This is typical behavior from you. Always thinking about yourself." Aunt Rebecca sent, "Your mother is very upset. I hope you're proud of yourself." I turned off my phone and went about my evening. They'd figure something out. They were adults. Over the next few weeks, the pressure increased. My mother called repeatedly, leaving voicemails about how I was ruining Christmas for everyone. Charlotte sent me articles about the importance of family traditions. Mason stopped speaking to me entirely. But I held firm. Every time someone brought it up, I simply said, "I'm not available for Christmas this year. You'll need to host it somewhere else." Finally, in mid-December, my mother called with an announcement. "Fine. Since you're being so stubborn, we've decided to have Christmas at my house. It's going to be cramped and uncomfortable, but at least we'll all be together. Unlike some people." "That sounds great, Mom. I hope you all have a wonderful time. You're not even going to come? Not even for a few hours?" "I told you, I have other plans." "What plans could possibly be more important than your family?" "Personal plans. That's all you need to know." She was furious, but there was nothing she could do. I'd made my position clear. What I didn't tell anyone was that my personal plans involved lying on a beach in Hawaii, while a nice family from Texas stayed in my house and paid me for the privilege. December 23rd arrived. My flight to Maui was at 6 in the morning. I got up at 3, did a final check of my house to make sure everything was ready for my renters, and headed to the airport. The Texas family was scheduled to arrive at 2 in the afternoon. Iris had the keys and would meet them there to let them in. Everything was arranged perfectly. I was at Logan Airport going through security when my phone started buzzing. It was my mother, but I didn't answer. I was going on vacation, and I wasn't going to let family drama interfere. The flight was peaceful. 6 hours later, I landed in Maui. The warm air, the ocean breeze, the palm trees, everything was exactly what I needed. I took a taxi to my resort, checked in, and immediately went down to the beach. For the first time in years, I felt completely relaxed. No cooking, no cleaning, no family criticism. Just me, the ocean, and a good book. That evening, as I was having dinner at the resort restaurant, I checked my phone. I had 47 missed calls and over 100 text messages. My stomach dropped. Something had happened. I opened the messages from my mother first. "Harper, where are you? We need to talk about Christmas. Harper, call me back immediately. Harper, this is an emergency. Call me now." Then messages from Charlotte, "Mom is freaking out. What's going on?" From Mason, "You need to answer your phone. This is serious." From Aunt Rebecca, "Harper, your mother is having a panic attack. Please call her." My heart was racing. Had something terrible happened? Was someone hurt? I called my mother back. She answered on the first ring. "Harper, finally. Where have you been?" "I was on a plane." "What's wrong? Is everyone okay?" "No, everyone is not okay. We're all standing outside your house, and there are strangers inside." It took me a moment to process what she'd said. "What do you mean there are strangers inside?" "We came over this morning to set up for Christmas dinner. Since you refused to host, we decided to do it anyway at your place. But when we got here, there's a family we've never seen before in your house. They said they rented it." "Harper, what is going on?" I closed my eyes. This was actually happening. "Mom, I told you I wasn't hosting Christmas this year. But you didn't say you were renting out your house to strangers. I didn't think I needed to explain what I was doing with my own house. I said I had other plans. Where are you right now? I looked out at the ocean view from the restaurant. I'm in Hawaii, Mom. The explosion on the other end of the phone was spectacular. You're in Hawaii? While your entire family is standing outside your house with nowhere to go for Christmas? You were supposed to have Christmas at your house. That's what you told me you were doing. That was just to make you feel guilty. We thought you'd change your mind at the last minute like you always do. So this whole thing had been a manipulation tactic. They'd never actually planned to host Christmas themselves. They just assumed I'd cave to the pressure and let them come over anyway. Mom, I'm sorry, but this is not my problem. You decided to show up at my house uninvited. I have renters staying there who paid good money for a peaceful vacation. You need to leave them alone and go somewhere else. But we bought food. We have presents. Everyone is here. Then take everything to your house and celebrate there. Our house is too small. You should have thought about that before you decided to ignore my boundaries and show up at my house without permission. My mother was crying now. How can you be so cruel? On Christmas? I'm not being cruel. I'm being clear. I told you multiple times that I wasn't hosting Christmas. You chose not to believe me. That's on you, not me. I could hear other voices in the background. Charlotte was yelling something. Mason was arguing with someone. It sounded like absolute chaos. Harper, you need to come back right now and fix this. I'm in Hawaii, Mom. I'm not coming back. And even if I could, I wouldn't. My house is rented to paying guests. They have every right to be there, and you don't. But it's Christmas. Yes, and I'm spending it on a beach in Maui. I suggest you figure out your own plans. Goodbye, Mom. I hung up and turned off my phone. My hands were shaking. Part of me felt guilty, but a bigger part of me felt absolutely liberated. I'd done it. I'd actually stood up to them and held my ground. The rest of my evening was wonderful. I had a fantastic dinner, watched the sunset over the ocean, and went to bed early in my comfortable resort room. The next morning was Christmas Day. I woke up, put on my swimsuit, and headed down to the beach. The weather was perfect, warm and sunny with a gentle breeze. I spent the morning swimming, reading, and drinking tropical smoothies. Around noon, I turned my phone back on to check if there were any actual emergencies. There were hundreds of messages, but I scrolled through them carefully. Nobody was hurt or hospitalized, so nothing required my immediate attention. Most of the messages were variations on the same theme. I was selfish. I was heartless. I'd ruined Christmas. How could I do this to my family? But then I saw a message from my grandmother, my dad's mother, who lived in Florida and rarely came to Boston for the holidays anymore. Harper, your mother called me crying about what happened. She wanted me to call you and guilt you into coming back. But I want you to know that I think you did the right thing. I've watched them take advantage of you for years, and I'm proud of you for finally standing up for yourself. Enjoy your vacation. You deserve it. Love, Grandma. I smiled and felt tears in my eyes. At least one person in my family understood. I spent the rest of Christmas Day exactly how I wanted to. Swimming, napping, eating good food, and not thinking about my family's drama. That evening, Iris called me. Hey Harper, I wanted to let you know that your renters are absolutely lovely. They asked me to pass along their thanks for having such a beautiful home. They also mentioned that some people showed up on Christmas morning claiming to be your family and demanding to come inside, but they sent them away and called the police when they wouldn't leave. They called the police just to have them remove the trespassers from your property. The family from Texas didn't feel safe with strangers banging on the doors and windows trying to get in. The police came and cleared everyone out. Your family left after that. I felt a mixture of embarrassment and satisfaction. I'm so sorry they had to deal with that. Don't be. They understood completely when I explained the situation. They said they have boundary issues with their own extended family, so they sympathized entirely. After we hung up, I sat on my balcony and watched the ocean. The police had actually been called to remove my family from my property. It was mortifying and vindicating at the same time. The rest of my week in Hawaii was absolutely perfect. I did everything I wanted. Spa treatments, snorkeling, hiking, shopping, and absolutely nothing that involved cooking or cleaning or dealing with family drama. On December 30th, I flew back to Boston. I took a taxi from the airport to my house, arriving around 8 in the evening. The Texas family had already checked out earlier that day. Iris had done a walkthrough and confirmed everything was in perfect condition. They'd even left a nice thank you note and a small gift basket of Hawaiian-themed items they'd picked up for me in Boston, which was sweet. My house was immaculate. They'd cleaned everything before leaving, and it looked better than it had when they'd arrived. There were no broken items, no stains, no damage. Just a clean, peaceful home. I made myself some tea and sat down on my couch. My phone started buzzing immediately. I'd been back in cell range for less than an hour, and my family already knew I'd returned. My mother called. I almost didn't answer, but I figured I'd have to deal with this eventually. Harper. You're back. Yes, I'm back. I hope you're happy with yourself. Actually, I am. I had a wonderful vacation. You humiliated us. The entire family. Do you know what people are saying? I don't really care what people are saying, Mom. I set a boundary, you violated it, and you faced consequences. That's how boundaries work. We're your family. We shouldn't need boundaries. Everyone needs boundaries. The fact that you think family means you can do whatever you want without consequences is exactly the problem. Your father and I are very disappointed in you. I'm sorry you feel that way, but I'm not sorry for what I did. There was a long silence. Charlotte wants to talk to you. Before I could protest, my sister was on the phone. Harper, you owe us all an apology. I don't owe anyone anything, Charlotte. You ruined Christmas for 23 people. My children were devastated. Your children are 6, 4, and 2. They were probably more excited about presents than about which house they opened them in. That's not the point. The point is you humiliated this family. No, Charlotte, you all humiliated yourselves by showing up uninvited to a house that I explicitly told you I wouldn't be at, then refusing to leave when legal renters asked you to go, then forcing them to call the police. I didn't do any of that. You did. We thought you were bluffing. Why would I bluff about going on vacation? Charlotte didn't have an answer for that. Well, don't expect to be invited to anything in the future. I can live with that. She hung up on me. Over the next week, I received a few more angry calls and messages, but they gradually tapered off. My family was freezing me out, which honestly felt more like a reward than a punishment. The only person who reached out with kindness was my grandmother. She called a few days after I got back. Harper, honey, how was Hawaii? It was absolutely perfect, Grandma. Thank you for your support. You don't need to thank me. I'm just glad you finally stood up for yourself. I tried to tell your mother years ago that she was taking advantage of you, but she didn't want to hear it. Do you think they'll ever understand why I did it? Probably not, sweetheart. People who benefit from taking advantage of others rarely want to acknowledge what they're doing. But that doesn't mean you did the wrong thing. I keep waiting to feel guilty, but I just feel relieved. That's because you did the right thing. You protected yourself. There's no shame in that. We talked for another hour about my trip, her life in Florida, and family dynamics. It was the best conversation I'd had with any family member in years. January rolled around, and I went back to work. My colleagues asked about my Christmas, and I gave them the short version. I went to Hawaii instead of hosting my family gathering like usual. Good for you, my boss Marcus said. I've been telling you for years that you need to stop letting them take advantage of you. You were right. I should have done this years ago. In mid-January, I got an unexpected call from my Aunt Rebecca. She was my mother's sister and had always been firmly on my mother's side in family disputes. Harper, I wanted to talk to you about something. I braced myself for another lecture. Okay. Your mother asked me to host Christmas at my house next year. That's nice. She said it would be just like when you hosted. Everyone would come over, I'd cook everything, and we'd have a big celebration. Sounds like a lot of work. That's what I said. And when I suggested we all split the costs and the cooking, she got very offended. She said family doesn't nickel and dime each other. I didn't say anything, just waited to see where this was going. Harper, I want to apologize. For what? For not realizing how much you were doing every year. And for how much your mother and siblings took it for granted. I offered to host one holiday, and she expected me to do everything you did without any help or appreciation. When I said no, she called me selfish. That's when I realized what you've been dealing with all these years. I felt a wave of validation wash over me. Thank you for saying that. You were right to set boundaries. I'm sorry I didn't support you before. We talked for a while longer, and by the end of the conversation, I felt like I'd gained an ally in the family. Over the next few months, an interesting pattern emerged. My mother tried to organize Easter dinner and expected my brother Mason to host. He agreed, but then got upset when she expected him to pay for everything and do all the cooking. When he complained, she told him he was being selfish. Mason called me in April. Harper, I owe you an apology. For what? For not understanding what you were dealing with. Mom volunteered me to host Easter, and now she's angry that I won't pay for everything myself. She keeps saying things like, Harper never complained about costs. I didn't realize how much you were spending. It was usually around $3,000 to $4,000 per holiday. What? That's insane. I'm not spending that much money on one dinner. So what are you going to do? I told her everyone needs to contribute money and help cook, or I'm not hosting. She's furious with me now. I couldn't help but smile. Welcome to my world. As the months went on, more and more family members started to understand the position I'd been in. Charlotte tried to host the 4th of July and had a breakdown when she realized how much work it involved. My cousin Blake offered to host Thanksgiving and then backed out when my mother sent her a list of expected dishes. By the time December rolled around again, my family had cycled through almost every possible host, and everyone had experienced what I'd been dealing with for 8 years. My grandmother called me in November. Harper, I thought you should know. Your mother asked me to convince you to host Christmas again this year. Really? She said that you've had your break and now it's time to go back to normal. She used the words "proven your point." I laughed. What did you tell her? I told her that if she wanted someone to host Christmas, she should host it herself and split the costs with everyone. Then I reminded her that if she kept pushing you, I'd follow through on my threat to change my will. Grandma, you don't need to do that. Oh, I already did it, honey. Back in January. You're the sole beneficiary now. I was stunned. What? I've been watching this family for decades, Harper. You're the only one who's ever been responsible with money, respected other people's boundaries, and built a good life for yourself without constantly asking for handouts. You deserve to inherit everything, and that's exactly what's going to happen. What did Mom say when you told her? I haven't told anyone except you and my lawyer. But they'll find out eventually. I figure it will be good motivation for them to treat you better in the meantime. This year, Christmas is next week. I've received exactly 0 requests to host any gatherings. My mother is hosting at her house, and she sent out a group message asking everyone to bring dishes and contribute money for supplies. I offered to bring a dessert and contribute $200, which is a fraction of what I used to spend. She accepted without argument. I'm actually looking forward to Christmas this year. I'll show up for a few hours, eat some food, exchange gifts, and then go home to my peaceful house. No cooking marathon, no massive cleanup, no financial stress. And you know what? I've already booked another trip to Hawaii for next Christmas. just in case my family gets any ideas about going back to the old arrangement. Because I learned something important last year. Setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's necessary. And people who truly care about you will respect those boundaries. The ones who don't respect them aren't entitled to your time, your money, or your peace of mind. I'm Harper, and I finally learned to put myself first. And it's the best decision I ever made. My grandmother is coming to visit me next month. She's 82 years old and wants to spend a week in Boston. I'm taking time off work, and we're going to have a wonderful visit. Just the two of us. Because that's what family should be. People who appreciate you, respect you, and love you without expecting you to sacrifice everything for their convenience. I'm done being taken advantage of. And I'm never going back.